Guys, it couldn't be helped.
We can't help it, guys. We've been doing what we've been watching podcasts for the last couple of weeks, on and off, granted, not every single week. We're catching you up on all the anime we're watching, from Dan to Dan, from Ranma 1/2 to Old Guyver episodes, to Rurouni Kenshin, to Blue Lock, to you name it, we're watching it.
But we had to just turn this into Dan to Dan exclusive.
I would say it was undeniable.
Oh!
No, why not, guys? We have to.
It's the best of the season. There's so much to talk about that we can't just do smashed into other things.
We can't.
It is the show of the season. And I mean, you guys all agree, like everybody's been talking about this show.
Right.
The show is just undeniable. You know, every once in a while, a show comes out that just has a really intriguing story coupled with beautiful animation and just pure insanity all mixed together.
Pure insanity. I haven't got a rush like this, like a dopamine rush from watching an anime like I've gotten from watching Dan to Dan. I mean, we just got done a couple weeks ago with the Acro Silky demon arc, if you want to call it that. We just got done watching episode 7 and 8, which is the Acro Silky kind of arc, where we saw some of the most heart-wrenching, beautiful, gorgeous scenes. And that's on our what we're watching episode 4 pod from last week.
Right, yeah. The episode 7 with the backstory of who Acro Silky was and life and everything.
It was devastating.
It was devastating.
Emmys, I'm thinking if anime has got Emmys, give Dan to Dan all the Emmys on that one. But
then we got to my favorite episode of the season, which was episode 8.
Yes.
And that's what we're covering today. We're covering episodes 8 and 9 of Dan to Dan, or Don to Don.
Don to Don.
Well, however you want to say it.
It's so good. So good.
I mean, so good.
Where do we start? Gosh, where really do we start?
Okay, so now because of Okarun's help with saving Aira Shiratori in the Acro Silky arc, now she's in love with him.
Love triangle coming.
We've got our first high school love triangle of the show. She's in love with him. Meanwhile, he's getting jacked. He's putting in work.
He's been doing his weight, his curls, his push-ups. Grandma wants him to get in better shape. But he's a little shy. You know, he's a timid guy. He's not one to be boastful or bragging. So he's been trying to work out on his own and separate, right?
Yeah, because also, I mean, who doesn't? He's a young man, and he has feelings for Momo. Yeah, he wants to look strong and cool and stuff like that. So he's putting in that work.
He's trying to get ripped and jacked and tan.
So he's like out doing push-ups in the courtyard by himself, and then he gets like aggressively ambushed by Shiratori or Aira, whatever I say.
Aira,
okay, we can call her Aira. Yeah. Yeah, gets aggressively ambushed by her, where she confesses her love to him.
She finds this out from watching, looking at romance novels or romance movies in her father's study, which you find out is probably adult films, by the way.
Oh
funny joke, tons of funny jokes. But we find that out, and of course, in this episode, Momo catches them in an awkward situation where she grabs him, they fall over, and
he's right on top of her. In missionary, in mount if you're a jiu-jitsu enthusiast.
Looks like they were about to be making out, you know.
Oh yeah, and Aira was just down. She puckers up everything. She's like, "Just give it to me."
Yeah, she was ready.
It's like, oh man. So Momo catches them in the act, and then of course, as it needs to happen in this sort of thing, all hell kind of breaks loose.
All hell breaks loose. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's back up just a little bit, because at the beginning of the episode, Okarun finally gets one of his balls back.
Golden ball. He finally gets it back. And it's
very traumatic.
This is one of the most traumatic, but also the funniest scenes I've seen in an anime in generations. I mean, it is just the hilarious scene between all the dialogue between Momo, Grandma, poor Okarun in the middle of this, and then Turbo Granny in cat form, throwing a golden ball as fast as you can, like the best picture for the Dodgers, into his ball sack. Right. And it was devastating. We felt that. I mean, as a guy, we felt that, and it was painful to watch.
It was pretty insane. It was pretty insane. It was done very funnily.
Funny.
I mean, and they kind of take away the inappropriateness, because it is literally like a golden charm ball. It isn't like a piece of anatomy.
Yeah.
I guess it's kind of like in Catholicism when you eat the wafer and it turns into the flesh of Christ.
Exactly. Yeah.
Where it's like it's a golden ball right up until you traumatically throw it at the person, then it converts to anatomy.
But at least he got one of his balls back. So he's got his Frank.
Right.
He's got one of his beans. And he's one more.
So the search of the other being continues. The whole thing with Ira where they get caught in the act. But then we have this whole thing where, is it Momo that gets kidnapped by the aliens, or is it Ira that gets kidnapped by the aliens?
I think it's him. It's Okarun.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Well, it kind of they all kind of. So what happens here is another cool sequence. We see the three superior people, our three heroes, Momo, Okarun, and Ira, are stuck in the same kind of contamination field or alien kind of. We call it. I like to just call it.
We call it domain.
Domain.
It's the alien domain expansion. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. No, JJK. But they do a domain expansion, and they know immediately, like, okay. Okarun's like, I've seen this before. And we cut back and forth between... Momo is the one we actually see first, I think, for an extended period of time. Okarun sees the water, and then it cuts to Momo. And this is nuts. Okay, sorry about the cuss word, 750.
You can just beep it.
This was sick. So creepy. It sets the tone for the show. We know the tone, the color for the scheme is green, right?
Yes.
So it's going to be pretty sweet. So we see all darkness, and then... water starts to flood, only a couple feet in the school, but we know something's going on.
Yeah.
And then the really, really cool thing about this episode, which I think is every episode has one or two things you're like, wow, that's amazing. I've never seen that before. They have this huge Nessie or Godzilla, more like a Godzilla creature.
Oh,
but it's a water monster that slowly, creepily, eerily goes through the hallway. And Momo sees it. She hides behind in a classroom. But when she does, because she's in the water, she ripples the waves. And the Godzilla monster, the Nessie, feels a vibration and he senses her. And this really eerie, scary scene just unfolds where he basically has Godzilla atomic nuclear breath.
Oh, yeah,
and destroys half the building. And you're like, what the hell is happening?
Yeah, that was sick. That was awesome.
But that's what makes this show so great is I've never seen a show so random, and so funny, but it all works.
But
it works.
It keeps coming back to a thing that I think that we watch these kinds of stories for, where it's like these are kids who are dealing with extraordinary circumstances, and we can do jokes about them for a little bit.
Right.
We can be histrionic sometimes, but occasionally you're just putting a child in a hallway with a monster that has the ability, like the Tremors monsters, to sense vibrations, but also has Godzilla nuclear breath and can just like demolish a building with it.
No. But that's what's great about Dan to Dan is I never thought for 1 second we were going to see a Nessie in this episode or a Loch Ness monster. I have not read the manga yet, which I just went on Amazon and I ain't going to order it because I'm obsessed now. I love the show. Well, I have to read it.
That's half of the appeal is you never know where the story is going. It just goes and goes and goes and goes, and you're just like, oh man, I did not expect that.
I'm like, that Loch Ness monster, that's random as hell. But you know what? I think I'm kind of down.
Yeah,
and it was cool. And then we cut back because Momo's able to hide. The monster goes away, and then we get another situation where Okarun and Ira, or Acro Silky Ira, for the first time ever, which is pretty cool. She's able to unleash her abilities because the aliens are back, right? Our favorite aliens are back. The
aliens are back, and now we kind of know what they want. They want Okarun because they want to study him because he has Turbo Granny in him.
Yep, and they know he's powerful. They're like, hey, you're different than the normal humans. We want to take your balls again and your dick. we want your special anatomy, your banana parts as they call it. And then they try to screw with Okarun. And what's funny about this as well, I'm sorry, I'm just taking all the air out of this.
Go, dude, go off.
But what's just so great about this moment too is these aliens are freaking hilarious as well.
Yeah, they're funny.
They have tons of jokes. They hire a boxing crab guy, a boxing crab guy to come fight a low wage independent contractor, you would say, of the alien world to come and help them destroy.
And it's clear that they're lowballing him too. Like there's kind of that dynamic where it's like this crab boxer is underpaid.
Yeah, this crab boxer is underpaid, and like he keeps messing up, and he's like, we're gonna cut your pay by 60,000 yen, or something like that. I'm like, dude, this is hilarious. Like, who would add these kind of jokes in a teenage drama where aliens are trying to steal someone's testicles? Like, this is just the most random mismatch of everything, but it's amazing.
If for some reason you haven't watched this show and you've stumbled on this podcast and you haven't turned it off yet, as we describe it, I get that this sounds like the most insane and stupid thing you've probably ever heard in your life.
And it is. But
it works.
It works.
Like, it
but it's
just
also
works,
awesome.
yeah.
I mean, the animation is gorgeous. All the fight scenes are great. All the dialogue is, especially when they're bantering back and forth with jokes, Okarun in pain, or whether he turns to Turbo Granny guy, and
he's just like annoyed with everything. It's like,
he's super
oh,
depressed.
what a pain.
I'm not to save you. Like he is hilarious. And then the
Yeah.
aliens are I love these aliens, man. They are brutal and hilarious. Everything
They're
they
super
say,
funny. They're
super funny.
Their disguises, they kind of look like they've got like these mushroom cuts.
They're like
and
Japanese businessmen.
Yeah.
Essentially.
They're disguising themselves as salarymen, which I don't know if that's a comment on sort of like Japanese work culture.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, it is hilarious. But they also have this perpetual sort of smirk on their face, which just looks really funny.
And then they have the glowing eyes, which makes them very creepy.
Yes.
I mean, this show has some really great horror aspects about it. You know, that gives it a little bit of difference than other.
It's got everything. It's got like teen romance. It's got action. It's got
Comedy for
horror,
sure.
comedy, absolutely, and it all tied together in a beautifully animated show. Even if
Speaking of the animation,
if you're one of these people, again, like if you haven't even just seen the intro for Dan to Dan, with Otonoke by Creepy Nuts, I think is the name of the song. But just watch that intro. The animation is so good. The
awesome.
song is a banger.
it's a banger.
The music in the whole show is good.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I mean, I just can't stop talking about how much I love it. I texted like 5 people when I watched episode 9 today, and I said, because I just watched it, and I said, are you guys caught up on Dan to Dan, or have you watched Dan to Dan?
Yeah.
Because like now I think like the word of mouth is so strong in this show that it can't be denied. It's undeniable.
Oh, you're gonna
Again,
repeat the
I'm gonna
joke.
go back. I'm weaving back, but
I'm supposed to be the one with the dad jokes here as the dad, but you can take all that real estate.
I'll take them.
No, but it is a thing where I've talked to people. I've been recommending this show like crazy because it's like if you're a fan of Mob Psycho, you probably will like Dan and Dan. If you're a fan of One Punch Man, you'll probably like Dan and Dan. If you liked Fooly Cooley or Kill la Kill or Gurren Lagann,
Chainsaw Man,
or Chainsaw Man, like you'll probably like Dan to Dan.
You can't watch anime and not like Dan to Dan. And I gotta admit, man, I was like, you know, we're old takus, we're a little older. We OGs. We helped buy all the Suncoast videos that helped bring anime to the USA. So without all of the massive amounts of dollars we saved up from mowing lawns, we wouldn't have what we have today.
We used to have to wake up at 5:30 in the morning to watch anime on a weekday.
Back in my day.
I'm serious. Yeah, that was the only time that it was on.
But I'll tell you this, is that watching Dan to Dan for the first time in a long time, and there's been some great shows, but this is the first time in a long time I feel, you know what? You guys, this younger generation, you're in great hands.
Yeah. Oh,
you have some great creators out
there.
there.
I feel that way. We'll talk about this on another episode, but I just want to give a little space right here to say to anybody who has consistently listened to us over all of our pods. This isn't Dan to Dan related, but I will formally say on the record, I was 100% wrong about Jujutsu Kaisen.
Were ya?
I saw season 2. We'll save that for another pod, but just after watching that season, I was completely wrong about it.
Right.
It was one of the best seasons of anime I've seen in so long, and that's all I'll say. But yeah, they are in good hands.
They're in great hands.
They're in great hands, yeah.
And it's just, this show is like, I mean, I should have watched this show probably like 4 times before, because the dialogue, we're going to play next time on Dan to Dan show, Who Said What? And I'm just gonna pull up like 10 pieces of dialogue.
Oh yeah, let's do like a game show segment. Yeah, like who said what?
Game show segment, and let you guess what they said, because there were so many one-liners, so many quips that were the most random things you'd ever heard in your life. I mean, I wish I had written one down. I have them on my phone, but guess what? I'm using my phone to shoot this podcast, so all my notes are kind of, it's irrelevant. But there's so many great lines. Everything is hilarious.
There's so much stuff to remember too. I mean, we haven't even gotten to like the 3-way fight that occurs in episode 8. We have a whole other episode to do, and 4 minutes to do it.
I know. Well,
we're gonna have to go a little over.
Well, I'm kind of just combining them together, honestly, at this point now. Yeah. Because after episode 8, I mean, because we kind
Episode
of
8.
Episode 9.
Episode 8 has the best battle in the show so far, which is saying something. Because we had the battle with Turbo Granny, which was insane. We had the battle with Acro Silky, which was insane. And now we have this battle where it's Acro Silky Ira, Turbo Granny Okaroon, and Alien Momo fighting against the aliens and the Nessie in water. Yeah. And like Ira's suffocating to death. And like
this is episode 9, by the way. I mean,
that's episode 8. That's still episode 8.
Is it
No, episode 8 ends. Okay, so episode 8 ends when they defeat all the aliens and like they shatter the domain expansion.
Oh,
and Okaroon is laying on top of Momo, and the entire high school sees, which just brings us right back to this is a high school drama.
I know.
Like all this insane stuff happened, and then it's like, these poor kids. All the other kids are gonna think that they did something lewd in the hallway or something like that.
Right, my God. That's how chaotic and kinetic this show is. Is that if you're listening to our voices in this podcast and how we're talking, this is kind of the vibe of Dan to Dan. It is nuts. It is out there. It is just a 1,000 miles a minute turbo granny to the max. And yeah, so okay, you're right though. I now remember episode 8 ended there, and then it just went into the amazing 30-minute triple alien monster fight scene. They absorbed the other crab monster, who they already changed, by the way.
Right.
They upgrade him to a Japanese businessman warrior. Mantis shrimp. Yeah, exactly. I think the line I was talking about, I saw earlier, is like, Okaroon says, "Oh no, we can't fight him because he's a alien beast manta shrimp guy," or something like that. Underwater, he's undefeatable, and you're like, what the hell is this?
And we find out that, I mean, this show is just great at layering stakes because like there's a moment where they're in a pinch where they need to get out of it. Okaroon transforms into Turbo Granny and he can't swim.
Yes.
And they're in water. It's just like, oh man.
Well,
it just keeps like the butts in the there force. Like it's so good.
But also we have to remember that Okaroon gets stripped naked because the aliens were stripped him naked to steal his junk again.
Yeah.
So he's fighting with his hands covered in his crotch the whole time. And then you have he's dealing with Ira, and then Momo catches Ira and Okaroon, and Okaroon's holding her kind of naked. I know it sounds
and then
odd,
then everybody has to get kind of
he's covered up, guys.
Everybody has to, in order to maneuver through the water, everyone kind of has to remove their clothes too.
Yeah.
So now everybody's vulnerable. Like we're creating a setup for a punchline later when the insanity goes away to remind everybody, wait, no, this is also a high school drama that has some stakes there too.
And it was the way it was done. It was playful. It was charming. It was funny. Because by episode 4, if you've watched the first couple 4, you're like, okay, what's the vibe? What's the energy of the show? You kind of get over that. There's a little bit of teenage perviness. It's part of life.
It's part of anime. Honestly, this is a thing in anime. This is not new anywhere.
But it's not. But this one, it's actually fairly innocent. It's not like a hentai or anything like that.
It doesn't feel fan servicey because it feels like you are experiencing it through the emotions of the characters.
Yes, exactly.
Like once this battle is over and the whole school sees that Ira, Okaroon, and Momo are basically like all naked in the hallway or something like that.
They're wearing panties anyway, like bikinis, but. It's justified.
But it's compromising.
Yeah,
it's compromising. Yeah. So you feel for them, like, oh man, how embarrassing. Yeah. Like this is like every kid's nightmare.
Exactly.
You know?
So every kid is thought like, oh man, what if you're naked on a stage in front of all your friends in high school? Like this is exactly that moment for them. And it was like, okay, it grounds us back into high school and like tell us just because they beat insurmountable odds from aliens and then Loch Ness monsters and other creatures, yokai, and other creatures that are unexplainable to humanity, doesn't mean they don't have to deal with the worst, most awkward situations. Everything is up to 100.
Yes. Yeah, everything is good. And then this episode, while they're episode 9, where that goes in, when we're dealing with the aftermath of it, Okaroon posits, and I think it's a good theory, that the thing that the aliens are after is like, look, they have the technology to invade the Earth and take it over. Why haven't they done that yet?
Right.
Which is a thing that people ask, like, who are actual UFO enthusiasts. It's like, okay, they have technology that way usurps ours. If they wanted to take us over, why can't they do it? And it's because yokai exist on Earth and they don't know what to do about it.
Right.
It's like there are demons and creatures and ghosts everywhere in the world. Every culture has them, some variation or another. And the aliens are aware of that and they have no answer for it. So what they're interested in is Okarun because he can be possessed by a ghost. So then they can dissect him and find a weakness so they can actually then come and invade the Earth.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's where I mean,
that's basically it. We have an answer for why cows get mutilated by UFOs,
right?
Because it's because there's a certain type of alien that has milk for blood, and they need the cow's milk in order to like do blood transfusions or something like that. I mean, there's so much in episode 9. Like my favorite part of episode 9 was when they're all eating sushi that Hot Granny prepared or whatever, and they're just all yelling at each other and screaming and fighting over the sushi.
Well, that was like we mentioned earlier. That was like the funniest opening 5 minutes I have seen in anime. Like the writing is out of this world. The animation is superb. The fight choreography, the drama, the romance, everything you mentioned earlier is all wrapped in one, and it's like the biggest, best sandwich you could eat, and it's amazing. It's so filling. It's so rewarding.
There are tender moments too. There's that moment where Okarun confesses that what actually happened when Ira and him were caught in the compromising position where it looked like they were kissing in the courtyard, that he was working out. And he kind of confesses, he's like, of course, I'm a guy. Of course I want to look cool or whatever. And then there's just a moment where no words are spoken, where just Momo and him are kind of staring at each other. They kind of have the same pose where they're starting to realize. And then of course, as what happens in anime all the time, it's horribly interrupted by some interloping other kids, Momo's friends, and stuff. But it was such a tender moment, like this silent acknowledgement of attraction, which is one of the great things about Ranma. Ranma does that too. Yeah. But we'll cover Ranma later. We'll just do a big chunk of everything that happened in Ranma from the point where we stopped covering it.
We'll do something else, but from now on, for the next 5 weeks, we cannot get off the Dan to Dan train.
No.
Like Super Turbo Granny, you're going to get knocked off those rails. We're going all the way. So the next 5 episodes of what we're watching is now the Dan to Dan reaction pod. Exclusive.
Right. Exclusive. We're doing Dan to Dan week to week. So come back. If you're watching Dan to Dan, come back week to week. We're going to be covering it every single Friday or Saturday, and we'll post it when we post it.
Yeah. Any final thoughts? I'm exasperated. I got to rewatch it again because I love it so much. But
it's funny because our sister pod to this, the Dragon Ball Daima pod.
Check that out, by the way.
Nothing happens in that, and we talk and so we have a lot of space to fill talking about wouldn't it have been better if this happened? Would it have been better if this happened? This show is the opposite, where so much happens.
Too much happens every episode,
and you're just like,
I forget half.
Oh my god! Like this was insane. Yeah. So
unfortunately, we don't have the time, but I really do need to watch every episode 3 or 4 times, write down some of the dialogue that I want to talk about, write down the breakdowns and the scenes, but I don't have the time, and neither does Dan to Dan. It just keeps rolling. So we're just going to go, we're going to feed them fastballs at you, give our best reactions there, and just go from there. But either way, 12 out of 10. This show is the best show on TV right now. The best anime out there. I mean, I think even Okarun tops anime list weekly anime favorite male character, shonen character.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, he's my least favorite character in the show, but that doesn't that isn't to say that I don't like him.
Yeah.
I definitely like him, but Momo is a great character. Ira's little arc in the show, like where she was like, I'm just gonna tell everybody that you forced me to do all this stuff. I'm gonna blame it on you. Momo doesn't care because she's already kind of a pariah.
Right.
But then Ira just couldn't help it. She's like, no, listen, guys, I'm the one who spread those rumors. It's like she's having a mid-season arc where she sacrifices her popularity to do what's right. It's like, this is so good.
But you know what? Okarun under distress is he's great.
Oh, he's hilarious under distress.
He's so funny. Under distress, his dialogue is so funny. When he's not having any problems, or he's just in his classroom reading or something, he's very much your straight character for the show. But as soon as he gets under distress and he's in his high pitch, and he's screaming about whatever the situation is, it is hilarious. And that's what makes me like his character a lot more. But, Momo is great. Iris, enjoyable as well. It's so much fun.
The author just keeps putting him in the worst positions too, which is just great for a story. It's
that's how you make it. That's how you make great TV. You put them in insurmountable situations, make them make their way out with teamwork or whatever they need this week to get it done, and they did.
And they did.
Watch episode 8, watch episode 9, catch up, rewatch them all, and join us back here next time on the Dan to Dan Reaction Pod, because we love it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that like, hit the subscribe button, share this with your friends. comment, tell us what your favorite moments are, what you think about the show, and follow us on Instagram, Twitter, X, Facebook, anywhere you get your social media, we'll be there.
All right, we'll see you next week with Dan and Dan episode 10.
All right. I
can I'm gonna
learn that song, guys.
I don't know the song.
All right, we'll see you later.
Later.